Mm. Just waiting for YouTube to launch the video. All right. Come on, come on. Good. All right, we're live. All right. Well, I don't know why. Well, the StreamYard has been acting weird for the past 2 weeks, like that. Last week and this week, I couldn't connect my uh, podcasting mic to it and the external camera, so I'm just pairing with whatever I have, and we'll have to connect to get in touch with the support team to figure out what's up, what's wrong. All right, welcome back to Odys Talks, everyone. This show is brought to you by Odys Global, your one-stop marketplace for age domains and websites. And today I'm joined by three great gentlemen. It's Zack Franklin of SmartEcommerceSEO.com, Evan Relly, aka Captain Sid of Rite of Passage Live, and Karl Kangur of Smash Digital, and the founder of SEO Estonia. So, guys, why don't you go on and introduce yourselves? Karl, I think you'll be the last one since this is not your first time on the show. Just highlight whatever you want people to know about you. Whoever's gonna join the live stream now, or will watch it further on in the later days. Zach?
Yeah, sounds good. So, yeah, my name is Zach. I live in Shenzhen, China since 2016, which is not where you usually find a lot of SEOs. I've been doing mostly e-commerce software stuff for a long, long time. And recently, around like ChatGPT came out, made the pivot over to SEO because all the stuff I hated about SEO became really easy. And it's going great. So started an agency. We have about 30 clients now, and a lot of them are 9-figure Amazon sellers. So we're doing good, and we're putting out somewhere around like 2,000 pieces of content a month, and
Whoa.
got around over 300,000 first page rankings this year.
Solid. All right. Evan, what about you?
Legit. So, yeah, my name's Evan. I live in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I've been here full-time for about 5 years. And I started a tour company last year doing kind of high-end trips and retreats. And part of that is masterminds and different events for entrepreneurs and like-minded people to come together. So I have a lot of thoughts about events. I came to Chiang Mai with a remote job from the US and worked here for about 2 years with that job, and then quit and kind of tried to figure it out on my own. I started a motorcycle affiliate website, which is sort of my entrance into SEO in the online business world, that started doing pretty well last year. And then in 2022, and where the whole Captain Sid thing comes from, is I did a motorcycle trip around the US for about 3 months, going to different Bitcoin meetups. And I got that nickname because it was my Twitter handle, and that's like what I used to talk about that trip. So that was like a solo 3-month journey that I did on motorcycles, and now I do those kind of trips all over the world.
Awesome. Thank you. Karl.
Hey, I'm Karl. Also based
Welcome
in Chiang Mai.
back.
I've been doing SEO for about 16 years now. Core business is agency. So Smash Digital, we specialize in building high-end links for legitimate companies. And then recently started dabbling in the kind of events industry. I started SEO Estonia about 2 years ago, and now partnered on the Chiang Mai SEO conference as well. And then I've got a tiny little army of affiliate sites on the side, which is kind of my testing playground, and more of the hobby side of things.
Nice. Yeah, and I'm your host, Vlad the Lad. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to the show, gentlemen. As always. All right, let's kick things off.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Yeah, we're finally live. All right, so I'll just start off the bat. What, just for each and every one of you, what inspired you to start hosting live events, and how have they impacted the growth of your respective businesses? Was it like an immediate influence, or was it like something you started noticing in the long run? Yeah, just share your experience, your thoughts, anything that's inside your head.
I can start on this one.
Come on.
So I started doing live events and organizing things like around different professional groups in college. And I can actually trace it to one book that I've read called Never Eat Alone, which is by a guy named Keith Ferrazzi. And it was a New York Times bestseller back in the day. And I read that book, and I had always grown up like actually very shy. And once I read that book, I realized like relationships are not what I thought. It doesn't have to be such a fearful thing to talk to other people. It can be a really rewarding thing, and you can, both people can get a lot out of it. And so for some weird reason, that kind of changed my whole outlook. And then I started doing events to kind of connect people together in my college campus. And I kind of put it on the back burner for a long time. I did some events in New York around Bitcoin things in like 2017, 2018. And I moved to Thailand and got integrated into some communities here, started helping with the Chiang Mai SEO meetup, which is already a very established community here, but I'll put together events here and there. I did a mastermind like last week for Chiang Mai SEO. But there's something about just being in person with people that I think for me, the internet will never replace that. The depth of relationships and the trust building that you can have. When I worked for a remote company, when I moved out here, I noticed people that joined the company that were on my team or someone that I interacted with, it was always there was some friction where you didn't know what to think of them until we had a retreat. And then everyone came together. And then all of a sudden, within 24 hours, it's like, okay, I've got this person figured out. I trust them now. And then from there forward, working with them is so much more efficient. So I think that gave me a really strong appreciation for just being in person together and doing kind of smaller events where you really get to know people. You see them repeatedly, you get to build bonds and friendships, and gave me a great appreciation for that. So.
Wow. What about you guys? Zach?
Yeah, so I've run a lot of different types of events, but the ones that are kind of my favorite are the one that I do in Shenzhen every month. The next one is tomorrow. And I've been doing these since pretty much 2017. They aren't SEO events, but they are kind of anyone doing marketing and e-commerce. So we get a crazy mix of people every time. And we have people going like 3 hours from Macau or Guangzhou or Hong Kong to come and join. And now we usually get somewhere between 100 and 200 people. But what's great, a lot of people have ended up becoming friends from this and hang out around the city. We get about half Chinese, half foreigners, and people come and they're like, I didn't even know there were that many like foreigners in the city. But we get people that like design the camera for Apple. We get people that are running like 9-figure plus Amazon businesses. We get really like just a crazy mix of people. Someone that comes every time, just sold, not going to say what, but stuff to Mr. Beast, SpaceX, Marvel, DC, Warner Brothers, Porsche, other stuff. So a lot of people doing some crazy business. And we get a lot of agencies that come to get clients. We get a lot of freelancers that come to get clients. And a lot of just everyone comes. And so what's really unique about, I think, the meetup that I do is that it's all kinds of people. You get software, AI, factory owners come, you get SEO people, you get anyone. And everyone can kind of just hang out. And we go usually from just 8 p.m. at a bar until the last person leaves around 4 a.m. And it's great. So strongly recommend because, everyone in Shenzhen and probably in your cities are kind of just waiting for somebody to do something, to do some kind of event. So it's like, why isn't that person you? There's no one waiting for permission to say like, hey, you should go do an event. Just put it together. The first one can have 20 people. That's great. Then maybe next time get 30. But there's no reason why you are not the one to put something together. And the reason I started it was just because I wanted to be around people that I wanted to know. I wanted to meet more people. I was new in the city, and I knew that there are a lot of people working on really crazy stuff, and I wanted to meet them. And, it ended up being incredibly rewarding. And since 2017 till now, I'm doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, Karl, what about you? I mean, you're the freshest to the game, obviously.
Yeah, so
In
I
terms
think
of
the
hosting
kind of
events.
the benefits of networking have always been like painfully obvious to me. Like when I started doing SEO, there's no way to really learn it. There's no blogs. There's nothing going on in YouTube. It's just forums. But like the information on the forums was like just the basic stuff. But it really was about who do you know? Who are the people you're talking to? So different like Skype groups and just that's where the real sharing happened. And that's where I met tons of business partners, joint ventures, where I got my best hires, and like everything happened through the people you actually got to know somehow. And then, ironically, through networking, I met one of my business partners, Thomas, who runs FA International, and then he was the one who initially got me involved with conferences. And he had hosted a lot of events, they sponsor a lot of events, and he kind of taught me the fact that when you go to events, like networking for most people, like for me, being slightly introverted, it's difficult. It takes effort. It takes a lot of energy. And he introduced this concept that when you enter a conference or an event at a different tier, it becomes a lot easier. So if you go as an attendee, you're the one who has to go to approach people and like ask them all these questions. Like, of course, you should do that. But when you sponsor a conference, you kind of get a tier up. People are like, oh, yeah, you're with Odys, right? And like the conversation kind of takes a different level of interest immediately. Then if you go as a speaker, that's another kind of level. And then as the host, like, okay, well, everyone knows you, and it makes it all so much more effortless and like less draining. So that was kind of the entry to like, oh yeah. Then it's eventually you realize hosting events and bringing people together, it is an extremely fulfilling thing. Like all the things I do, the conferences are the things that kind of make the biggest put the biggest smile on my face.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. That's true. So basically, I mean, from what I've heard you say right now, all three of you, is, I mean, it's all pretty much about networking, communication, and business just is a cool side effect if it happens, right?
I think that's kind of an interesting thing about the SEO conferences is that when I go to the SEO ones versus like Amazon conferences and marketing ones, people don't seem to want to talk business right away. They're really like kind of against that, which is crazy to me. You go to like affiliate world or something, immediately people are like, hey, I have traffic. You have offers? I have offers. You have traffic? I need this. I need this. Do you have this? And like, it's a lot more efficient. Even at Amazon conferences or something else, they say, here's what I'm looking for. And when you go to an SEO conference, they're kind of like, I just want to get drunk. And it's really a different mode. So that was interesting, kind of comparing the SEO stuff to some of the other things I go to.
What do you guys think?
I think all the best like business benefits come out of just not being natural, being organic, not like trying to sell something. I've seen this at a conference. Like we used to go to MicroConf, which is like a SaaS related conference, and we would just be there and like try to help people, meet people, and whatever. And then one of our competitors came in and brought their kind of sales guys. But this was like a room of nerdy developer shy people, and they came with their aggressive sales strategies. Like that will never work. Versus for us, we went every year, we met all the people, tried to help them, and kind of thought a lot along with them on the marketing side. And then later on, when they were ready, they just came to us because they trusted us. So it's never really been about like, oh, let's go chase clients. But I feel like if you're active in a community, it just naturally happens over time as you build up your kind of trust, credibility, and just meet more people.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, like, what you mentioned just now, I mean, even starting SEO Estonia for you and Kyle, right? I mean, you've already had reputation, like people knew you, both you and Kyle, like great professionals, great SEOs, and experienced guys, right? Who have been all over the world with your presentations and workshops. And, I'm not sure if you have any course on IMG, for example, but Kyle certainly does have. So, I mean, there was this, your fame was walking in front of you, right? So when you announced the start of SEO Estonia last year, like everyone was like, oh, cool, these guys are starting the conference. This should be pretty rad. So why shouldn't I go, right? Why shouldn't I sponsor it? So yeah. when you have this aura around you, which is supported by like particular actions, by results, and everyone tends to yeah, get somewhat closer to you, I'd say, just to pick your brain, and they know that you surround great people around you. Yeah, I think that's one of the recipes. But what about starting events from scratch? Like when not when you're like, not saying that when you're a nobody, but like when you just haven't been this public, let's say. If Evan or Zach, you've been in such situations or not?
Well, I mean, there are two really different tiers that we're talking about here. Like the conference thing, conferences take months to put
Oh yeah,
together.
yeah,
Everything
yeah.
that like you think is just like a normal detail, like work has been put into every single detail, from getting the
Mhm.
Wi-Fi to getting the sponsors to what's going to be served for lunch to what is the seating arrangements to like how are people going to check in, even all the stuff, picking a venue, about what kind of hotels are around and public transit. Like that's just a totally different level than like, let's get a bunch of people together. And both things have their kind of advantages. But for me, I would love to go to conferences as a speaker, as an MC, as a sponsor attendee. But I never want to be the host because, Karl, that's a lot of fucking work. Like it really is. So
Yeah.
anyway, if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, I want to like, get something together, like I said, just try it. And if it fails, at least you got a couple friends together and did something cool. If you're doing a conference, get to know all the conference type of people first, because, for example, for Chiang Mai SEO can help promote SEO Estonia, and all the kind of conferences you guys all seem to, help promote each other. And people that go to these conferences, you'll see them at the next conference, at the next conference, at the next conference. People that like to go to those are going to continue to go. You're going to quickly develop a network everywhere. But throwing a conference is not a small task. And often, for a lot of people, not even super profitable. It's definitely a labor of love. You might think, oh, the tickets cost this much. They're, sold like 600 tickets. They must be like, multi millionaires, but they might not know that like air conditioning might cost $20,000 to $30,000 for the day. All those cups of coffee are going to cost a lot. Everything that your conference organizers are paying for is like times 20 the price that you would normally expect. And so, sometimes it's profitable, but usually like the first one or two times they do this thing, they're like break even. So, I'm amazed people show up and put this kind of stuff together because it's hard work.
Yeah, people don't realize that each time you push a button on the espresso machine, that's 12 euros. It's like people come in, hang over, have like 7 coffees, leave them all over the place. It's like, yeah, the coffee budget was like 12,000. Thanks. But yeah, I think one thing to note with the kind of events thing is that conferences, like Zach was saying, is not the only way. Like we've done a lot of it with piggybacking off of other people's events. So, for example, I think it was the first year we went to the SEO Mastery Summit. Then FE International and Smash Digital, we partnered up and we hosted our own like VIP invite only party thing. So we rented out a private rooftop. We paid for $7,000 worth of drinks, split that, and then we had like 150 people show up who were just going to the conference anyway. On that day, there was no official event. We just posted it in the app and so on and so forth. So we got a lot of the benefits, but with like a much smaller budget. And I think Evan can speak to the benefits of like just hosting local events weekly. Like the Chiang Mai SEO community is truly amazing. Like I was here for the first time in 2015, and back then there were some meetups and things, but it wasn't like a tight knit community. Now it's amazing. Like around the conference, I think there's 100 people at the meetup every week before and after. And I think a lot of that credit goes to Matt for just always hosting the meetups for years and years and years. Like if you're in Chiang Mai, there's an SEO meetup every single Thursday. There might be 3 people, might be 30 people, whatever, But if you don't know people, you don't have any friends here, you don't know what to do. Like every Thursday there's at least this one thing I can go out and do.
Yeah,
I
to
think
add to that, I would say with these different types of events, there's definitely rungs to it. So like, I think the easiest way to get involved with events is, as Karl was saying, like I came to Chiang Mai and discovered the SEO community was already established, and then made friends with people in the community, and now help organize events and do masterminds with that community. So I kind of adopted a community that already exists and just help out with it, but it's helped me meet a lot of people through that community and then springboard my own events on the side. So that can be a really big thing. But doing something like a conference, like I run into this doing my rite of passage events, the event business that I started last year. So for that business, the primary trip that I offer is a kind of high ticket motorcycle trip in Thailand. And the reason I was able to sign people up is because I did that 3-month tour in the US, and I shook about 1,000 hands on that trip. And I was able to get 6 people to come out, some of which only knew about me because of the trip. Everyone who went on that trip knew about me because of the trip, but I'd only met some of them, like 3 or 4 of them. They heard about me through that trip. And that's the reason they trusted me enough to come out here and go on a motorcycle trip. And that took months of planning to figure out what we were going to do, where we're going to stay, all the experiences, all the logistics, the legalities, everything. And I imagine that's like times 10 for a conference when you have several hundred people coming that you have to kind of manage and work with. So there's definitely rungs to it, and you've got to find where that lower rung is for you. Like if you're in an area that doesn't have any sort of meetup for what you want to do, then it can be as simple as starting a meetup or joining an existing community, getting to know the organizers, and then get to know people in that community. You can even do it online to start too. Like I know that Matt Diggity built a lot of his following and brand from just helping people on Facebook with questions in SEO. That can be a great way to build a reputation before you even have any in-person event. And that way people know who you are and they see your event and they trust, okay, this is going to be a good event. I'm not just going to some random event, which might be helpful if you're in like a really saturated market or really busy city where people are super flaky. If you have a reputation, then people know what to expect and they'll show up.
One of the things Karl brought up was super, super important, and that's like the frequency and schedule of the meetups. So if Chiang Mai, it's like every Thursday, then people are just like, oh, it's Thursday, I should be doing something right now. Oh yeah, it's the meetup. If you're like super random with when it is, then you're going to lose people really quickly. And also if you do it like every 3 months, every 6 months, every year, everyone's like, what the fuck is this? You need to like do meetups pretty frequently, like either, I wouldn't say once a week, that's really crazy to me, but like once a month is good enough that people are like, oh, this month I should be doing something. And then like I always have mine on a Thursday night. If you're going to do yours at a bar, the Thursday night is great because you're adding to their revenue. Like normally if you're trying to do the bar and you're trying to do Friday, Saturday, and you're trying to get it like all yours, it's a little tough or annoying. So you want to partner with venues that can give you free space and, or a lot of free bottles of tequila, which mine do. And then, you want to keep it pretty consistent. So if you're going to start a meetup, say I want to try 6 meetups and I'm going to do them for, once a month. But don't do, I'm going to randomly do a meetup every month, now every 3 months. Now I'm gone on vacation. I'll come back and do it after like a year. You're not going to maintain any sort of like cohesive community. So how you get that really strong community by Chiang Mai is by consistency over a long period.
Yeah.
I think, Vlad, you were originally kind of asking about, people starting out, if they don't have a name, like how do they do the stuff?
Yeah.
And then like one thought I have around that is like, you don't necessarily need to be the host or the person who started it. Like running events, it takes up a lot of time. It takes a lot of headspace, and no one's going to say no to help. So like if someone comes to the Chiang Mai community, you're going to have much better chances if you reach out to the community here and say, Evan, let me take this off you for next week. I'm going to try to put together a go-karting thing. next Thursday. Like, are you cool with that? And you can kind of tap into it that way versus you come here and you start to like, I don't know, you start your own SEO community, your own events, you start like competing with that. Like that's probably not going to work. But if you are the person, what is it like even volunteering at a conference? Like all the in SEO Estonia, I think we had like 15, 20 volunteers. And all of them had amazing times just working for us for free, basically, because they got access to all these people. Like there's people who got to talk with all the speakers, who got to conduct interviews on camera with all the cool influential people, whatever, or who just got to meet everyone at registration and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that. You can see that. Yeah. All right. Just to keep us moving on with this conversation. Well, you've spoken mostly about building connections within the community, like between with other professionals, with other SEOs, affiliates, business owners, stuff like that. I mean, just on an idea experience sharing level, right? What about the client thing? I mean, does it in any way? Well, I don't know. Probably it's more related to bigger events rather than like meetups. But I don't know. This could be like relevant as well. Depends. But still, does it have any effect on your relationships with clients or building new client connections and stuff like that? Like maybe some particular examples of something that like happened and it was like, whoa, wow, this is how it works.
Yeah. So with, for example, like organizing just my local meetup stuff, the last time, like early September, like this month, I got 4 clients from it.
Oh,
So
sweet.
super easy. Because I mostly get a lot of ecom people, everyone gets a free Shopify Smart Ecom SEO shirt. So I'm giving out like hundreds of these shirts. I have another order coming in tomorrow. So not only like literally hundreds of people then walk around the city, and then on the back it says like Shopify SEO at Shenzhen speed. And so they're on the subway, people see this. Like I do notice a spike in website traffic from that. But also people come to your event and then they say, "Oh shit, you know the dude that does the camera for Apple, you know this dude that did something with Mr. Beast. Your other clients are here and they're like really happy and they're saying they just made an extra $1 million and like this and this." Of course you're going to get clients from that. But also it's branding. You know, I do the Shenzhen marketing meetups is what they're called, even though there's so many different things. Shenzhen is a city. I don't know if you guys know who are listening. We make everything. We're the factory of the world. Every fucking thing that you have right now that I can see, this like lamp behind Karl, like probably your hat, like everything, Shenzhen. And so all these people are making everything and they need a lot of help to sell it. And so we have the marketing thing. So everyone comes and they're like, "Oh, I need marketing." And then because I run the marketing meetup, everyone's like, "Oh, I need Zack." So even if people are not directly, because I'm only doing SEO at the moment versus I used to do a lot of Amazon stuff, but they still come to me for everything. "Hey, you do the meetup. Do you know someone that can do this?" Yeah. And I can send them over to a friend, either just to help them out, or maybe I'll get an affiliate commission. But, you know, it does kind of establish you in a very good position within the community. And like Karl was saying earlier, when you are just showing up as an attendee or something, you need to do a lot more work because people are like, "Well, who are you? You know, you're just here." But if you're the person putting stuff together, everyone does either want to talk to you or you run into a weird situation where like you don't know who everyone is, but every single person knows who you are. So I started making everyone wear name tags. So I kept forgetting, honestly. But you know, you might talk to hundreds of people in a single day, like doing the meetup, and it really keeps you top of mind. You know, like I said, if you're doing this every month, people are like, "Oh, Zack marketing every month." They just think that connection, Zack marketing every month, and it really does work out. And then when you, not to take too much time, but conferences are where you should do things more like looking for the stuff you need for your business or different sorts of partnerships. So I've had several partnerships that have done millions of dollars in revenue for that I've met at Affiliate World. And then also high ticket drop shipping because I've sold millions of dollars of wine fridges, dog treadmills, baseball pitching machines, solar panels, like anything but I learned how to do that by like a hotel room party at Affiliate World where I met, Trevor Fenner, and he's like, oh, here's like how you got to do it. And so whether you're going to conferences, you're going to find stuff you need. But if you're doing the marketing, like meetups around you, you're going to get a lot of random opportunities, speaking gigs, clients, all kinds of stuff. It is worth doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think
I have dozens of epic like conference stories from like small events, big events, meetups, like you name it. Like the first conference I ever went to, I met a business broker while I was trying to sell my site, and the guy I met in person gave me a 4 times higher valuation than what I got online. So it literally made 4 times more money on like a 6-figure exit. That guy also ended up being my business partner. If we look at the recent partnership with Chiang Mai SEO, that really happened because I got involved with the Chiang Mai SEO community ages ago, and the actual conversation happened like a year ago in the Philippines at another SEO conference. From the Chiang Mai SEO Invitational Mastermind, we got our biggest SEO client ever that was with us for like 3-4 years. Just in a group of 5 people, someone was like, "Oh, actually, Karl, you said your problem was about getting more link building clients. I know this guy, and he needs exactly what you were just describing." So and these things happen everywhere. I think 2 months ago, we got a new client for the agency just from someone who came traveling through Chiang Mai and came to the SEO.
Nice. Yeah,
I'd say events. Yeah, events are the best way to find clients, to find customers, to find solutions. Like Karl said, it feels like they just fall out of the sky. That's been my experience with events. Like you just randomly meet people. You never really know where it's going to come from, which can be kind of unsettling. Like if you're like me and you're very process oriented and you want to know, who you're going to talk to or what speakers you're going to go to that are going to give you the answers. It's always out of left field. But I think especially big events where you have a lot of people coming through and you're not really sure who you're going to meet, like just lean into it and say hi to as many people as you can and be open about what you're working on and what you're dealing with, because people can't help you if they don't know. So I think that's why masterminds too are so helpful for connecting with the right people, because you're being immediately very open about what's going on and what you need help with. And other people are in this mode where they're ready to help you. So 100% events are one of the best ways to find good people to work with, to work for, whatever.
And what Evan just said about being upfront and just saying, here's what I'm doing, that's what I meant earlier when it was not like about people ready to do business at conferences. Like I would go to the SEO thing and people were like, oh, I do SEO. And I'm like, well, yeah, we're at an SEO conference. Like what else are you going to be doing? But like, if you gotta say what it is, what, you're kind of looking for something, because ideally you are looking for something or someone that can help you. And you should make it really clear in 2 sentences. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm doing. Here's who I help. So then people can think, oh, now I know how to help you. Because people are looking to help you and make those connections. So yeah.
Yeah, I actually
two kind of random tips that came to mind listening to this. One is most events have some kind of app or like where you can see everyone who's going there. So when I try to make the most out of events, before I go, I will review the entire attendee list. And like if someone sounds familiar, I'll try to catch up with them. I try to check out as many profiles as possible. And if I'm like, oh, this could be a perfect client, I'll try to set up like a lunch meeting or just find a way to kind of say hi to them. That's been massively helpful, especially if you're going to a conference I've never been to before. Make sure I have at least a few people I'm going to meet or kind of know what I'm looking for. And then the other one, like for me, I'm horrible with names and faces. And if you're at like a conference, for me, it's not like an 8-hour thing. I'm not showing up at 8 a.m. going home at 5 p.m. It's like I'm a 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. type of guy when it comes to events, and I'm going to make the most out of it. But it's very easy to kind of forget when you're meeting hundreds of people. Like you have so many conversations. I highly encourage you to keep track of it. So when you finish up a conversation, even if someone like walks in and like kind of joins the conversation, just grab out your phone, like, hey, I just had a chat with Vlad, note down a few bullet points of what you talked about and what they do. And then later on, you can refer back to it. You'll remember people's names much better, what you talked about, and just that was like one of the more powerful things that changed how I approach conferences. Because otherwise, you walk away and you're like, yeah, I met a ton of people, I had a great time, but like now you can actually see, like, I don't know, for example, if you work for a company, you can say, hey, like I talked to 27 companies, like 14 of these are actual leads, and so on.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great tip, actually.
Make a list of like 20 people to message like a week or two after the event, and like continue to build those relationships instead of like waiting a year to see them at the next Chiang Mai SEO or something. And the other tip is don't just go to SEO conferences if you're in SEO. If you're like an agency that serves like dentists, don't only go to an SEO conference, go to the dentist one. Have a shirt that says I do SEO for dentists, and walk around and talk with them, because they're looking for help at whatever conferences that is. I just went to a logistics conference or convention like 2 days ago, because there's always something going on here. And literally there was 9 conference halls filled with about 30,000 different logistics providers. And guess what? A lot of them work with my type of clients. So I got connections with them, with Amazon, with Temu, with Shein and stuff like this. And so find, go to your target market clients, and then go to the other people that serve your target market. So that can be really good. Like if you're working with like home construction, go to like a window and door convention and meet those people that work with all your clients. And it really works out, because these people don't know anything about marketing. So if you show up, they will love it.
Yeah, true. Evan, I actually wanted to pick your brain in particular because you're doing something really different, right, with rite of passage in particular. I mean, just getting a bunch of people on a bike trip around how many cities, towns, like 6, I think, if I remember correctly,
Yeah,
or something like that.
3 or 4 on the mastermind trip.
Oh,
Yeah.
3 or 4, and having a mastermind. That's just. How did you come up with the idea of combining these two things? I mean, obviously having a good time on the bike trip and then doing the mastermind uh, at the same time. And yeah, just share about it a little bit.
Yeah, so I came up with this concept because I'm very familiar with doing motorcycle trips in Thailand. I love riding my bike around, and some of the best ideas I've had and best kind of clarifying moments that have fixed a lot of problems and improved a lot of things about my businesses have come from being out on the bike and going somewhere totally new and kind of exploring into novel areas and riding a motorcycle. So I came up with this concept of doing just a scooter trip, so you don't have to be able to ride a manual bike, but just ride a 150cc scooter, which any digital nomad that's coming to Chiang Mai can probably ride, and do a northern Thailand loop. Because I've done this loop many, many times. I know it like the back of my hand, but there's a lot of things that the first time I saw them were mind-blowing and really cool. And a lot of people I found come to Chiang Mai and they just stick in Niman, and they know Niman, and they go to Healthy Junk twice a day. And to me, it's a huge shame because there's so much to be discovered here that if you just stay within that bubble, you're getting like 1% of it at best. So I wanted to design a trip where basically you don't have to worry about the downsides of going way out and not speaking the language or not knowing where you're going or what's going on. Like everything's planned for you, everything's lined up. You don't have to worry about anything. And then combine that also with a mastermind, because like I said, being out of your comfort zone, being somewhere completely different, it generates new ideas in your mind. It opens a lot of doors and a lot of creativity. And then doing that with a group of people means you're getting much better connections, because you're not just doing it alone, or you're not just with these people on a rooftop bar that's like every other rooftop bar in the world. You're out in the middle of nowhere and doing this experience together with these people. So it helps you kind of break down vulnerabilities, get to know people better. If you're on the road with them for 4 or 5 days, you're going to get to know them pretty well. And doing that with the mastermind, like the way I've structured it, we're only doing an hour or two of mastermind per day. So it's like 1 or 2 people per day that are presenting in a hot seat for a full hour. And then the rest of the time is just us riding, going to different cultural sites and eating and hanging out at the hotel. And then all that time is informal conversation where you can get to know each other. You can dive deeper into different problems you talked about in the mastermind. And I'm hoping that this will be like a mastermind times 100 because of the element of novelty and the element of adventure that I've added into it. And like Karl said, I took the angle of hopping onto a major event. So I'm doing this right after CMSEO, the 25th to 29th of November, because there's so many business owners that come into Chiang Mai and have maybe a month of time to fill. They're maybe going to CMSEO anyway. So why not do this the week after, Monday through Friday, and have an adventure, but also feel like you're moving forward still and still able to work on your business.
Oh, well, this really sounds like a great combination of some practical thing and something in psychological, I'd say, like you just mentioned, like you're moving forward. I mean, you're actually driving the bike, moving forward. Wow, that's really cool, really cool. When you reached out to me the other day and told me about rite of passage, I was like, wow, this is really different. Never heard of anything like that so far. Maybe there is someone out there who's doing something similar, but in my case was like, I was surprised. Yeah. So anyone listening, if you're in Chiang Mai SEO, you can find Evan on Twitter, Captain Sid, double D in the end, and yeah, reach out to him and ask him if he still has spots for this post SEO bike trip. That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, guys, what about the challenges that you face in terms of hosting whatever weekly meetups, workshops, conferences, whatever it is, like the things that drive you crazy, let's say, like really challenging challenges?
I got a small one, but it drives me crazy, which is no one will read anything that you put out. Like, for example, if Karl has like a website for SEO Estonia, I guarantee he's getting 800 questions of things that are on the fucking website. And not only like are they there, they're not like on some subpage. It's probably in the hero section. When is it? What's going on? How to buy tickets? I get questions, even though I've been doing my stuff at the same place for like over basically 2 years. People are like, where is it? I'm like, really? Or like, when is it? Can I go? Like, all these questions are probably going to be answered somewhere, but make sure you have like just an FAQ that you can just roll off and just put to all these kind of questions, because you guys don't know as an attendee, but if you are organizing, you will get this at least 8,000 times. Any stupid question you can get that is answered in 800 places, people will ask you anyways. Okay, I guarantee everyone that is hosting any sort of meetup, event, party, whatever, just don't ask them these questions. Look at this shit first. I'm going crazy.
Yeah, I think exactly. That's literally, they won't read anything. People don't know if they bought a standard ticket, deluxe ticket, VIP ticket, if they even bought a ticket. People will buy 4 tickets within the same year, and then on the day I'd be like, "Oh, actually, I bought a few extra. Can I get a refund?" It's like, well, actually, check the website. The refund policy is also clearly on the site. Like, yeah, you need to be really on top of your stuff. Over communicate, and then hope people don't complain that you send them too many emails that they don't read.
Yeah, I think that nails it. Like, events are they're a labor of love, like we've been saying. Like, you don't really make that much money doing events. The biggest thing is then you don't get that much commitment from people. And so I find that people like they commit, they soft commit, and then you never know where they are until they show up or they don't show up, and then they don't read anything. You know, you have to be extremely concise in how you communicate information, even then. And like, I've never run a conference or anything at the size that you guys have run, but like, I'm not used to those kind of questions coming in, but still I see that, you know, people don't really pay attention when you put stuff out there. It can be frustrating sometimes.
Well, that's actually, I can understand why it's frustrating you, but that's actually hilarious, you know.
Yeah, I think another thing Evan kind of mentioned is just like the overall non-commitment from people. Is like, especially when hosting a conference, like that shit's expensive. Like we're talking multiple six figures to host like a proper serious conference, and like you pay that up front. We have contracts. Like we already have a contract for Chiang Mai SEO 2025. Those come with deposits, and they're not cheap. A lot of the stuff you need to pay up front for, and like for Chiang Mai SEO, that's not really an issue. But for SEO Estonia, you know, it was like we're starting this from scratch. People like, yeah, I'll come. I'm like, cool. Where's your ticket? But like people will buy that like a week before the event. So then it's like, okay, do we need 40 chairs or 200 or 300? And you just don't know. So it is like terrifying. Like the first time we did it, I had nightmares about this stuff. And then, you know, in the end, it worked out. But it's like you front load all the work and you don't really know what's going to happen. That's really frustrating. And I think the next kind of most stressful thing is that everything's always riding on like one day or 1 week going perfectly. So you do a year's worth of work, and then it's like, I don't know, what if the city floods? Like there's a big flood in Chiang Mai.
It happened
if
to
that
me.
was during the conference, it would be the worst thing ever.
I've had
like
2
COVID
meetups
comes.
during a fucking typhoon, and people came anyway. But one, like, we got totally flooded. I mean, people like on one part of the city, water was up to like people's necks, basically. Like we had 2 typhoons 1 week, and like we were just stuck drinking until 8 in the morning. Like so whatever can go wrong is gonna go wrong. But the crazy part is that like the people that run conferences make it look so smooth that you did not see 80% of what went wrong. Like it's crazy. Because I've been, you know, behind the scenes for a lot of these events, you know, both as a speaker, friends of the organizer, whatever. And then like the shit that's just going wrong is insane. Sometimes they're like all the organizers, their phone will die like 5 times in one day because the message is just this went wrong, this went wrong, this is blowing up. But you know, the fact that people do these at all is amazing.
It's
Yeah, I
like
think
you're
that-
only seeing the front end and not seeing the back end, not seeing all the mess that's going on in the back end. Sorry, Evan.
Yeah, 100%. It takes like 10 times more effort than you think to run even a small event. And like Karl said, the pressure of anything out of your, lots of things out of your control could go wrong that could screw it up for everyone, or just create a panic situation where you got to last minute figure out what's going on. Like for the first rite of passage that I did, one guy was not a very experienced rider and rode off the road and crashed. Luckily, totally fine. The bike was fine as well. But that was like okay, I'm glad I prepared for this and I thought about what would happen. Like I literally had a list of, here's all the hospitals along the entire route with all their phone numbers at any point in the day. Here's who I need to call immediately if someone gets seriously injured. And that's stuff that you don't really think about when you're on a tour and you're just riding along. Oh yeah, I'm having a great time. And you don't think about all the work that went into that before to make sure that it goes perfectly well. I just ran a mastermind here for like 2 days, and one guy showed up and stayed in the hotel that we had booked for him, but then didn't show up to the mastermind. And then he had some problem with immigration. And there's a whole big thing that I had to leave the event to go handle. But everyone else is just like, yeah, it was a great event. I'm glad that you threw this. Really fun. Let's do it again. And I'm like, shit, that was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What about how do you take the thing that like everything gets more and more digitized, and even though people do show up at meetups, masterminds, conferences, like more and more people prefer to stay at home and I don't know, do online masterminds and meetups and stuff like that, which is totally different from in-person attendance, let's say, right? Do you think there's a cue for that, or do you think that the general tendency will remain for most people to just be there in person?
I think they're two totally different audiences. Um,
Hmm.
People that go to all this online web, like I don't go to any online anything. If I listen to a podcast, honestly, it's to go to bed. That's it. So basically, like people always ask, "Oh, can you live stream your what?" No, go or don't go. That's the only option. I think that like the people that are going and only doing online stuff are the people that have never gone to the conferences, have never like will not go, and they're a totally different group of people. Like even during COVID, that was some of the people that normally went to stuff that were going because they had no other option. But now everyone is going. Affiliate World is still setting a record every event. Chiang Mai SEO is sold out in like 36 hours. I don't buy tickets for anything, you know, and I bought a ticket for that because I'm like, shit, this is really going to be gone in like 10 minutes. Like they have 5 tickets left. I'm going to get one. But the sort of people that go to normal conferences are the sort of people that are going to keep going to normal conferences, and the sort of people that just have your digital talk on in the background are going to remain those people, and there's not really any overlap at all. And if you're one of those digital only people because you're listening to this digital thing, stop. Go buy a ticket to SEO Estonia, to the Vietnam conference, to Chiang Mai SEO. Just go on a plane and go where there are more people that are talking about the stuff that you're doing, or put together that meetup in your local area. Like, don't I? I'm on like Reddit or I'm on social media and I see everyone like, how do I get clients? Or I don't know what to do about, and like 90% of these people's problems would be solved if they like met other people that are doing the same thing they're doing. 99% of every problem you see in any of these online groups or like social media or whatever, all these fucking problems are fixed if you just go. So buy a ticket to something and, just do it.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Yeah, stop hiding behind the screen. Go in person. It's so important. And I think if you do the online only thing, like you're missing 99% of the point of events. Like sure, if you want to absorb some certain information, that's why you're watching a webinar, like learn how to use this software and you're watching a YouTube video or whatever. That's fine. But events are about who you meet, and you're not meeting anyone online, or if you are, you're not getting nearly the depth of relationship because they're not actually there. You don't have their full attention. You don't know how much of their attention you have. So just buy a ticket. Like I don't have any other way to say it. Just buy a ticket and go to a real physical event and talk to people about what you're working on and just see where it goes. I fell into this trap like maybe right when I started my work professionally when I graduated college of being a cheapskate and thinking, oh, I don't have to go to the events. I can go to the online events. I can do webinars because they're free. But it was really starting my own business that I recognized that you have to spend money to make money and you have to invest to get it back. And I think of conferences like an investment. Yeah, it might be $500 for the ticket and you got to get a hotel and all this stuff. There's plenty of ways to lower a lot of those costs by, again, meeting people and splitting rooms and all that and going to a grocery store instead of eating out every night and all these things. But that event, one person you meet at that event might make all that money back immediately. I went to an event in Prague in June, spoke to maybe 30 people seriously about one of my rite of passage trips, and got one guy to sign up, and that paid for the entire trip. So I basically got a free vacation to Prague for like 5 days. That was one person. I probably could have done a lot better if I had a different offer, but I have a very specific extremely niche offer.
Mhm.
So if I had a more wide offer, maybe I'd gotten 5 or 10 people out of that. It easily pays for itself. Not only the direct business, but the people that you meet, the relationships that you end up building that later will lead to more business and will lead to some insight that changes your business and improves it. It's a no-brainer.
And even if you can't actually afford the conference, if you're like really starting out, just go to the same city and the same area and like chill in the hotel coffee shop with the stuff. Like Chiang Mai SEO, for example, there's like 80 events happening around the conference that are not the conference. Like I am thinking about just flying into Bangkok for a couple days next month just to hang out with a bunch of people that are there for a specific conference, but not actually go to, the thing. So there's still a lot of stuff going around. If you're, you know, broke or the ticket sold out or whatever, like, just go and be around it. And you might see a bunch of people with conference badges. Hey, do you do SEO? Hey, do you do whatever? And, tag along and do something. So if you're really just starting out, just do it anyways. You have no barriers. You can stay at a hostel somewhere for like $20. You can sign up for a credit card and get credit card points and fly for free. Like if you really want to go, you will find a way.
Yep. True. All right. To draw the bottom line for our conversation, what would be your main, let's say, let's call them takeaways for both event hosts, organizers, whether small or big, and the attendees? Like let's do it like 4 bullet points each. Karl, you've been selling for a while, so why don't you go first?
Tip number 1, don't post the conference. Tip number 2, I think just make the most out of any event you go to. Like you don't want to be the guy who's like, I'm gonna go like, I don't know, take a nap in my room. Like just power through it, say yes to everything, and just you'll be shocked where you end up. Don't be selfish. Like I hate those people who all just make it about them. Like there was someone who came to my conference and was just like their whole team was just basically harassing people, and they were just like, "We're with this company. Do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this?" And they're just like pushing themselves the whole time, and like everyone I talked to hated them. And it was like you couldn't have a conversation. It's like I think that's one thing. Like Zach said, it's weird about the SEO industry that people don't really want to talk about work. But like all the best connections I've made have been those like real conversations. You get to know the person, and later it's like, oh wait, you actually do that? Like I need help with that. And then like the level of relationship is so different already. Yeah, just try to meet as many people. Like I think one thing I mentioned at SEO Estonia both years too is like a tip to the attendees is like, remember you can be the most shy person ever, but remember that we're all here for the same reason. We're all at this conference to meet other people. So like screw being shy, just say hi. Like you're standing in line next to someone, just talk to them. Like, they're here, but they want you to say yes. Maybe they're probably terrified. So just say hi, chat, fine.
Yep. Cool. Zach, Evan?
I got a couple. So 2 for organizers. 1 is just consistency. Zach talked about this earlier, but if people can't really fit your event in their lives and make it a part of a routine or a habit, then you're always going to struggle to fill the events. The second one for attendees, I would say, is make people feel comfortable, especially new people to a meetup, because people will not necessarily remember what they did, but they will remember how they felt. So if they have a good experience, they're going to remember you and remember the event because of that. So anything you can do to just be warm to new people, ask them about what they do, try to, if they're weird or awkward or whatever, try to just pass them off to someone else. If you got something else to do, try to introduce them to someone that they might like, because if they have one good conversation, they're probably going to remember that and have a positive association with your event. And going to events, I would say two things. One, be prepared. Like, why are you going? What is the purpose of you going, and who do you want to meet? Because if you're not prepared, you can very easily do what Karl said and just waste it, end up napping or just sitting listening to talks the whole time that you could have watched on YouTube after anyway. So it's very easy to waste that time. You have very limited time. Be prepared for it. And then the second thing I would say attending is help people. Like when you don't know what to say or what to do, like my automatic reaction is to ask, like, what are you working on? And then where do you need help? And try to figure out a way that I can help them. And I initially thought of this as like, oh, well, then I have to, put all this time into helping people. But the simplest and usually the most powerful way to help other people is just connect them to someone else you know. So if they're looking for link building, it's, oh, Karl. If they're looking for something in manufacturing, oh, Zack. And that's all you have to do is give them a contact, and boom, you might have completely changed their life, changed their business with that 10-second conversation. So like, what can you help people with? They'll remember you for that, and that will come back to you eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so following the same format as everyone else, if you're hosting or you're thinking about hosting, why not you? Okay, for all of us here, at one point we were not doing what we were doing, and now we're doing it. And I went to conferences and I'm like, well, why not me for a speaker? And then it works. Or why not me for hosting? I should do this. I want this. I want to go to something. So build the thing that you want to go to. Two, this wasn't really said, but like, keep it as easy as possible if you are trying to do a thing. You know what I do? I put like hundreds of people in a group chat, and I say, we're drinking on Thursday at this bar. That's it. I don't have a ticket because I don't want to check the tickets. That's it. Why don't I do ticket? Because I'm too lazy to check tickets. I have the bar go around and put name tags on everyone. And then I say like, hey, whoever invites good people to this group chat, I put them in like a random number generator thing. I keep a list. And then those people, at least 1 or 2 winners will get a free bottle of tequila. So make it fun. So it takes me less than 2 hours to put together an event with like over 100 people, because all I do is say, yo, here we are. Let's go to the bar on this day. That's all it takes. So like, people think if you're doing a local meetup, maybe it takes a ton of time. For me, it takes less than 2 hours to just put together like that. And I also used to put together a lot of like events with like speakers and stuff. I'd had like Facebook and Indiegogo and like huge sellers. But I noticed like people don't like the talks as much as they like hanging out. So like, don't feel you need to have a lot of content. Just get people together. That's your main job. And then for going to events, one, don't only go to events. Like, go to an event, get some knowledge, get some connections, and then like do something with that, and then maybe go to the next one. I do see a lot of people fall in the trap where they're like only just going to events and events and events and events, but like their business didn't actually like progress. So like, like everyone's saying, go with some kind of goal in mind, get resources to get to that goal, and then go to the next one. But don't just like endlessly go because it's fun, because it is fun. And then number 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever, you should never say, wow, I had a great night's sleep at a conference. Just like Karl's saying, like, you don't want to say like, oh, I'm going to go take a nap. Don't be the dude that's like, wow, I slept great. I had 8 hours of sleep. Don't, like, just fucking go. Just, have some coffee. That Karl's paying $12 for it. So, go hard and enjoy yourself. But, have some kind of goal and business process, progress in place. So that's about it.
Awesome. Thanks for your thoughts. Thanks for your ideas, for sharing your experiences. Ooh, that's a lot to process. And I really hope that whoever listens to this conversation, watches this conversation, will find something useful for themselves, whoever they are, no matter if they're organizing events or if they're attending events or if they're thinking of attending events and finally stop sitting in front of the computer and watching webinars. So yeah, thanks for doing this, guys. Thanks for finding the time and spending this hour and whole 5 minutes in this great discussion. So yeah, stay tuned, everyone. I'll see you around next time here on this channel. Next episode of Odys Talks. All right. So see you around, guys. I guess, yeah, I'll see all three of you in Chiang Mai in just a little over, in 1.5 months, a little over that. All right. So
Thanks, Vlad.
Awesome.
Yep.
thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Vlad.